Hey guys, it's Slots, and today I wanted to talk about privacy on the internet and more specifically the start of this rollout of ID verification in order to access stuff on the internet. Now, in case you haven't heard, I feel like this is kind of old news by the time this video comes out, but YouTube recently announced it's going to start using AI algorithms to try to determine if a user is under the age of 18. So no matter what birthday you put into your Google account, that doesn't matter. The AI algorithm is just going to try to figure out what age you are based on the kind of videos you watch, how long you watch them for, and what you search for. Now, obviously, this AI is not going to be correct all the time. So if it is wrong, you can upload a photo of yourself, your ID, or your credit card in order to verify your age. And this is not just a thing with YouTube. I think Spotify also announced this recently. I don't know if it's hit the States. I think it's only in the UK, but they announced that they're going to be doing the same thing where you're going to have to upload a photo of your ID, which I'm assuming is in order to access explicit content or maybe for like podcasts or something, because I don't know. I feel like maybe this is just like a thing that I think, but I don't think like explicit music. I mean, not all of it. I should say that because some music nowadays is absolutely crazy with what they're singing about. But, I feel like if it's just swearing, like that's not that big of a deal, especially if you're like an older teenager. But anyway, other companies as well. I think in the south of the US, they require you to upload a photo of your ID if you want to access certain adult websites. I don't know if I could say the actual name of that on YouTube, but if you know, you know. So this is kind of the start of what I assume is going to become the new norm of having to upload your ID in order to verify your age on the internet. Whereas before, you just put your birthday in and like anyone could fake that and you'd have access to whatever you want. Or even some cases, you wouldn't have to put in your birthday at all and you just have access to it. Also, side note, nothing to do with the video, but I'm playing Infinite Warfare Zombies, and this is such a good game mode. Super underrated. If you never played, the Zombies mode in this game, highly recommend it. But anyway, back to the topic. Why do they want to do this? I think it's pretty obvious, and that is they are trying to keep kids away from content that they shouldn't be consuming. And I think we all know, especially nowadays, but even when I was younger and I was on the internet, I was watching and listening, or I should just say consuming content that I definitely probably shouldn't have been consuming. And that goes with YouTube. I remember watching a bunch of like music parodies, like those were my favorite. And I remember I watched one of Firework by Katy Perry by the Key of Awesome. If you guys remember that, you guys are a legend. But I remember watching that video on my family computer, and my dad walked in, and there's a scene where it's like a bunch of girls in bikinis in their hot tub. And like my dad was like, "What are you watching?" And like he told my mom, and it was just, I got in trouble for it. And I recently watched that video again for like the first time since I had watched as a kid. And the whole song is about like this guy having a boner and like wanting to show it off, and I had no idea what that was when I was watching that video. And I probably shouldn't have been watching it at I don't even know how old I was, but whenever it came out, I'll have to look it up later, but I had no idea what I was watching, and I just remember getting in trouble for it. I'm sure we could all remember stuff that we would watch or listen to as kids that we definitely should not have been doing. And I think, a big thing, I remember like going to middle school and like videos would go around, with everyone where it's like just disgusting videos that not even adults should even watch. But, we were, spreading them around because it was like so funny to see our friends' reactions, which crazy looking back. But anyway, nowadays kids are having access to the internet pretty much right when they come out of the womb. I mean, every kid has an iPad nowadays, and I know 99%, I hope, have like parental supervision on the iPad or parental controls, and the parent is like aware of what the kid is watching. But I feel like as soon as that kid gets their own device, which I don't even think they're getting, do they even make iPod touches anymore? I don't even think they do. But once they get their own smartphone now, I feel like a lot of parents just kind of let the kid have it. At least that's how it was in my experience, right? My parents gave me a phone and it was kind of just like, okay, like you could do whatever they didn't say that, but like that, they didn't check my phone or anything like that, which as a kid, was amazing, right? My parents didn't check my phone. But it's not even necessarily about the stuff that, kids are consuming. I also would argue it's about stuff that kids are posting on the internet. I mean, every kid nowadays wants to be a YouTuber, a TikToker, some sort of influencer, right? So I'm pretty sure all these kids are trying to post stuff on social media in order to go viral. And I feel like the number one way to go viral to these kids is to do crazy stuff on the internet, and that could lead to pretty, drastic consequences for them. So the idea of having to upload your ID in order to prove your age is the same thing as if a kid wanted to see a rated R movie or buy a video game that's rated M. They need someone that's over 18 in order to, buy the movie ticket or buy the game for them. I'll never, never forget when I was buying GTA 5 and I begged my mom for it, and I go to GameStop, pre-ordered it, by the way, went to GameStop, got the game, and before I bought it, the guy goes to my mom and says, "You do realize this game is rated M for mature, which has sex, drugs, nudity, violence, and all that other stuff that's in GTA." She turns, looks at me, and I just looked at her in the eyes, and she was like, she didn't want to buy it, but she bought it, and I'll be forever grateful for her buying that for me. But at the end of the day, I needed her permission to buy it, right? I couldn't have just bought it on my own. And I feel like that is the biggest thing here, right? Where I feel like it's just the fact that not enough parents are supervising their kids. And I'm not going to sit here and act like that's an easy thing to do. I am not a parent. I do not know what it's like to raise a child. But I think that is the number one reason for this, because I think if a lot of parents knew what their kids were uploading and, watching or listening to on their devices, they probably wouldn't be okay with it. So because of that, that is why they're trying to implement this. So what's the big deal, right? I feel like everything I just listed was a pretty good thing overall, right? On one hand, I feel like it's a lot of people that are not 18 that are just upset about this because they're not going to be able to watch the videos that they used to watch, and they won't be allowed to, maybe listen to the music they were once listening to, which is valid, because if you once had access to this and it's being taken away, I would be upset too. But for the people that are 18 and over, they're also nervous and scared about this, including me, because our personal information is being given to these companies, right? And I know they already have so much access to our information already. I mean, just uploading this video on YouTube, watching this video, you're giving them some sort of information. But I feel like the actual act of uploading your ID is kind of like the line for a lot of people. And one thing is the companies having access to this information, but the other thing is the possibility of a data breach and this actual security around this information. One thing I think of, which happened really recently, I think either just before or just after, this all started happening with Spotify and YouTube, the app T had a massive, massive data breach with bunch of IDs being leaked and addresses being put on a Google map, which is absolutely insane. If you don't know what the T app is, it's absolutely insane. But basically, it was an app where girls could go on the app and rate guys, and the point of it was to try to keep women safe, where it was oh, this guy's a weirdo, don't talk to him. But it kind of just became this guy is a red flag because he wears Crocs or something like that. I don't know, but that's besides the point. But in order to access this app, you had to be a woman, and you had to upload a photo of your ID to prove that you were one. And what happened is that this app had little security, protection around this, and someone was literally able to just grab it out of the files and they leaked it. That is a possibility, right? I mean, data breaches happen all the time. I get so many emails, saying, "Oh, your password was found in a data breach. Recommend you change it," or "Your email was in a data breach," whatever it is. Why wouldn't your ID be part of that as well? And I think with the normalization of it, with companies like YouTube and Spotify integrating it, more and more companies will also start integrating it. And I think that will just lead to companies with not the strongest security system, like apps that are just kind of starting up, to require this as well, which wouldn't be the best, because as I just said, this T app, which required you to upload their ID, their literal security system was breached and the whole thing got leaked. Now, I probably would be more comfortable giving my ID to YouTube or Spotify or Amazon or something like that, because those are bigger companies. I kind of trust them more with my data, which, some people would be like, "What? That's crazy." But I feel like their security is definitely more tight and secure than some random app on the App Store. But again, that normalization of it, or I guess just the requirement in general with a lot of apps, will just not be great, because I feel especially, as I said, with some of these apps like T, the security is just not going to be great, I feel like. I don't know. And I think the last concern a lot of people have is what they're going to actually be using with this information, right? Because they're saying it's for age verification purposes, which I do agree that is the purpose of it. But we also know that a lot of these companies, they take our data, right? Where they use it for like advertising and stuff like that. So I think the other question is are they actually just using this for age verification, or are they using this for other purposes? And when you check that box that says our privacy policy on your terms and conditions or whatever, it's been updated and everyone just scrolls right past it, what's actually in there, and will it actually have to do with our IDs or anything like that? So overall, my opinion on this is, in the ideal world, I think parental supervision is the solution, where I feel like parents should just be more aware of what their kids are doing on their devices, and that's the ideal solution, right? But I don't think that is the realistic one. But then I also agree with the points that they made where, kids should not have access to certain content that is very, very, explicit, that is definitely, 18 plus. So is this the right way to do it? I don't know. I definitely think that security is the number one issue, at least for me. And I think as long as that is kind of met to a certain standard, I think it will be overall okay. But I definitely won't be giving out my ID to like every single website that asks for it. So I think that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Are you guys pro this, against this, somewhere in the middle? I think, as I said, I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't know, long term how this is going to affect, I was going to say society, but that sounds so like cheesy, but I don't know. I feel like it's definitely a complicated topic that has pros and cons, and I'm just curious as to what the vast majority of people think. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.